kind of initiation that FUT has, right?
I mean, you have the Gecko, right? It's different.
But how do you... So you can pair up some of the blinds together, but not as many like utility combos there.
Well, we're going to find out if they can do that. And this, of course, is the elimination match. The winner will survive and progress to the play-ins. And it's time to jump into Sunset with your casters, Pavlos and Ash.
It's time to rock and roll for the third map of this series. So far, both of them being bangers, but now heading into the third one, there are different expectations set, right? FUT are the team leading in momentum, and it's time for KC to stop them in their tracks, or FUT continue to dismantle them and take them back home.
Starting off on the right foot here, but the comfort of that momentum, the 13-4, and scary that we're going to Lotus as well. I mean, to Sunset as well. KCORPS, they look good up against Giant X, but FUT looked clinical in that matchup. Yeah. A star-studded lineup there for FUT, especially starting out on this attacking side. We saw this same set play with this push up towards top mid.
So a lot of expectations set up on this one, but this push in mid is very deep, but it's anticipated here from KC Red, and that's allowed them to get picks straight out of the bat. They've been missing a good start, and this is what they need perhaps to get things rolling in their favor. Mr. Fallen though isn't going away without the fight, and CNED adding into the mix is making things even more complicated. But with that, FUT rotate towards this A site, and it's open for the taking, so at least they've got a chance.
Open for the taking, but on the side of KCORPS, you can see the conga line in towards spawn. Everybody's going to be playing together, playing that numbers advantage here into the 2v3. The plant safe on the side of FUT, so nothing too open. A camera to work with though, but shot out right off the gate.
Nothing is safe when Yetajay is alive on a clutch. And we've seen that from the previous map, and this time he's got the assistance of one of the greats, one of the GOATs. And CNED is able to hit it right from the top. Paint shots really strong in that direction. He lines it up, and Yetajay, all he has to do is buy time. 60 points of health, and Martin wins it this time around. Not allowing them to pull off the miracle allows KC to get first blood.
3K there for Martin to start, and the pistol in pocket for KCORPS important after that 4-13 loss over on Bind. Yeah. Whoa, okay, I thought back to, it's been so long. Lotus felt like genuinely 2 maps.
Oh,
because
yeah. If we're like an entire series, let's be fair.
Honestly, completely valid there, but the buy-up now coming in here for KCORPS. Again, the desk was talking a little bit about the difference in the initiators here. But the side on FUT that I actually have my eyes on is going to be, especially once those guns come out, Yetajay and Attica 10. In that matchup against Giant X, on the attack, they found so much value in their lurks, cutting off every single rotation. Absolute disruption there, and making it so difficult to even have those numbers for retakes. But KCORPS so far seem to look like they've done their homework.
And what we saw from the player cams, they seem to be very excited. A completely different face to what we saw towards the end of the last map. Rejuvenated, revitalized, and I can only imagine that's off of a pep talk from Zaysh. He's been so good with those, and we've seen it last year, the previous roster, but now it looks like to do it again in the assistant coach slot. FUT aggressive towards this B site. It's open, KCORPS handed over, but they are the ones with the most weapons to play with. And, you know, when they've got things to play with, they will be able to do more damage, potentially. Unless FUT bring up another thrifty upset, that would be nuts.
Playing numbers here. For first look towards A main.
Mr. Fallen gets the first shot, so it begs the question, can they put this across the finishing line? There's even a flank in the making. Look at Yetajay on the map. He's going all the way around. Tamaji, though, finally opens things up for KC as they try to move in a little bit further forward. Mr. Fallen, he's so low, but he does so much. He buys so much time, so CNED now is the only one left in garage. He's got himself a teammate as well, but it's Magnum to clean them all up as Yetajay goes all the way around, but he cannot interrupt the defuse, so KC gather the second round, but let's be fair here. 3 players lost for this French org. It's got to be menacing.
No, FUT made that one expensive. At the very least, it is a Vandal and a Bulldog to carry over into the buy coming out from FUT Esports. KCORPS, again, I like the idea. They were looking to play the numbers advantage. They fell off completely towards that B site, but too much value was honestly found out of Mr. Fallen there. I mean,
it's crazy, right?
I know, like just the
How did he live that long?
I have no idea. I mean, on Bind, to be fair, he had 5 first bloods and CNED had 0, but that was also the tradability.
True. Very true. Still, we'll always be looking at those stats. Paranoia, really strong, but CNED's got it all covered. You think you can push out into the open without covering top mid? Think again. punished FUT to take control, but Magnum wants to turn it all back around. Leading from the front as he enables the neural theft to find out where the rest of them are. Rush towards this A site here, but there's a flank in the making. Look at Yedege, but they've just realized where he is.
Yeah, I mean, the information garnered, right? Carmine Core, again, they have those numbers.
Oh, there's going to be crunch here. Oh, careful. Who's going to read that fight? And Magnum gets walked past without an issue. 3 kills to the player's name. And Yedege is alone. Spike in no man's land. And Yedege knows it. He's pulled off a 1v3 before, but this one looks a little bit different. No spike plant for him. And he's spotted.
Yeah, having to take out the dart from that camera. Then you've got the tripwire for that spike as well. However, Carmine Core, the way they're playing this...
They're respecting him, man.
Not just... Okay, hold on. Respecting him? They're playing ones.
They're
right
scared
now.
of him. They see him in their nightmares. And I don't blame them, to be fair. That bind map was, you know, their mental could definitely be disrupted from that 1v3.
Hey, I mean, the thing is, though, I was a little bit worried. Obviously, there was no time there for Yedege to actually find that spike, get it planted, and then find the remaining players of Carmine Core. But it did get a little... If he had gone for that, they were playing those solo angles, not looking to play together there. But nonetheless, 3-0, a hot start here for Carmine Core. Exactly what you want to see after they're showing their on bind. The fact that they come into this third map with those fresh faces that you had talked about there, Pavlos, means everything.
It does. It really does.
One enemy remaining.
And KC looked to move it all forwards in their favor. You know, it was a bonus round and it works out exactly like they did, like they wanted it to. And it's a good start to this map, and it in big contrast to the previous one.
And the hero rifle in the hands of Yedege, again, the player that we're constantly having our eyes on for those backstab opportunities, for those lurks. But it's all about if the rest of FUT can live to make that happen. Timing here.
Oh, as a captain.
He snuck past.
He has indeed. And he might be the linchpin in this round, given that Martin is moving directly in his location. But Martin is quicker. And a captain not looking at the right spot will mean that KC has an opening here. And FUT are scared to push in because they haven't quite cleared the site completely just yet. They now waltzing inwards.
If they can get the spike planted, there is, at the very least, a boon, the showstopper to work with here for CNED.
Smoke covering one of the sides, but Yedege has pushed past that. That Vandal has to be everything for FUT, otherwise this round is probably lost. Never mind, showstopper will be used for CNED, and that will delay KC substantially. Look how much they're giving respect to this. They've dropped back completely, and CNED might be even able to get a kill off of it. Paranoia is strong though, and Nare is able to trade it all back up. Can they find Yedege though? Can he save the day with the Vandals? They all walk past them. He's spraying upon them. Good for 2, and it's Mr. Fallen with a Sheriff. You can't expect much from him, but he's concealed his position, and nobody knows where he is. Has he delayed it enough? I don't think he has, and there's plenty of time to defuse it, but God, he made us scared in that moment.
Hey, an expensive round nonetheless. KC up 4-0, but FUT still make it competitive on an awkward buy situation. Again, there was only that one hero rifle in the hands of Yedege. Timing so close there. Just like a second or two off from denying that halo, or waiting until that halo comes up to actually deny that defuse on through, or having enough time here. But now, you can see the 4-1 split coming in KC, they want to get aggressive in towards mid this round, change the pace.
They do indeed. But look at Martin. Showstopper won't be finding its mark, but FUT has spread out a little bit and found a lot of space into B garage. And they'll be moving in together at that. There's only one player defending it, but also a few nearby covering off market. Never be all too comfortable. Mr. Fallen, scouting duties, realize the high presence involved into this B-side defense, and he thinks better of it, calls the attack off.
Where are you?
I mean, it forces FUT also to use more utility to try and re-clear towards mid as well, not knowing if anyone overstayed their welcome, kept that map control, the threat enough to force out the haunt. Then you have to have that slow creep back up towards tiles to clear that mid control out as well. Now, with FUT moving towards that A site, sure, Mr. Fallen finds one over towards B. We are also lying into the traps here on A.
But it's keeping them busy. Not only that, he's forced Magnum on the rotate. There's no one anymore carrying that A site. Mr. Fallen with a double. IGL lurk,
30 seconds left.
creating such a pain for KC. Finally gets shot down, but that's bought so much time for the rest of the team to move in. Yevashay dies in mid though. Wait, back to 3 versus 3. And with Shin covering that line of fire, there's nothing FUT can do. They need to get the spike planted, but it's in a safe position and not great for the post plant. Paranoia might be isolating CNED off into the corner here, and KC moving as a unit will shut them all down. Krax receives a bullet through a box, and that's the end of the round, and KC don't want to stop winning.
Incredibly played by Shin there, the anchor soul alone there on that A site. B, there were question marks, especially with the fact that Mr. Fallen somehow finds 2, but nonetheless, the big risk taken there by FUT to go for an open plant when they really had no information on A whatsoever. They had elbow control. That was literally it.
Indeed, indeed. And I think for KC, this is massive, right? Everybody has been thinking, okay, you brought in some players that historically might have had some, you know, throwing issues, right? There have been moments where they haven't been able to close out a lot of maps in their past teams and in their past performances. And, you know, Magnum is one of those players that, you know, has, in very recent history, we've seen that in the Apex final against Gentle Mates in Ascension. So now him being in the lead of this team, it calls a lot for them to be able to be resilient enough to come back at the final moments in the game. And this is the game we actually want to see that happen. This is the moment where Magnum and the rest of KC can redeem themselves. And so far in a 5-0 lead, they put FUT in the hot seat.
They absolutely do, and we are seeing a bit of that glimmer of hope coming in. Not even just a bit, I mean 5-0, that's more than a bit of a glimmer of hope, but the fact that they're able to so easily pivot mentally from second map of this series into this third one, looking comfortable, brighter faces there in that kind of regard. And even, I feel like we did hear about it a little bit on one of those post-plan segments. On day 1 of kickoff, when we got to talk to Narrate and Tamazi, sometimes the comms get a little bit complicated. And I think we can see when that frustration starts to come through, when the communication becomes very muddled, too many people talking over each other, but it seems like they fully reset here into Sunset.
Yeah, for sure. KC looked like a completely different team. Everything has been coordinated. Everything has been thought out. And no risks necessary. Maybe a few pushes in mid, which have let them to win a bonus, but aside from that, it's looking solid.
We also aren't seeing the same wall going out there from FUT. I feel like beforehand, in their matchup against Giant X, you constantly saw the conditioning that they were looking for over towards that A site. But it hasn't really been a look. Instead, throwing the one over towards B main, pressuring that cross.
Uh-oh. You don't really want to be walking into this position, especially with 2 elevations covered. The Prowler has figured them out, and the swings as well have helped out in that endeavor. Paranoia, Nara is able to substep it, but still able to find one before he drops. That's a Viper's Pit covering that direction, where Tamaji can use to hide. Shin uses from the shadows to find himself in that position as well, and I think they do know of it. The audio cue has been given. KC might be in trouble unless Shin is able to get them out of it. One trade commences. And it's still 2v3 with KC having a mountain to climb in this one.
It's really nice. Oh, not quite a one-way.
No, not quite the one-way, but it forces Magnum into a wide swing, and it's Mr. Fallen to close up the distance. Martin alone, and he's running out of time. He can feel it, he can sense it, but he's going for the chase. They've got money for days. Change the spare. And yes, he might be on the spike, but it's Krax with a quadra to finally put FUT on the board.
Okay, FUT, they found themselves around finally after a chain of 5 there for Karma and Core. However, each round was decently close. Like, Karma and Core, it's not like they're in any crazy comfortable position as far as that money situation goes. And then you've also got this op cycling up here for Martin as well. The operator looking to peek past in towards B main, but this conditioned wall here from FUT, from out of Captain, is really nice to just deny the angle, even more so with that cyber cage. Of course, Martin sticks around.
There was a pick in mid, and threw a smoke as well. That's exactly what FUT need to carry on a streak of rounds.
Slowing things down now. Cycling that smoke back over towards top mid. Just looking to try and shoot out the tripwire. It does work out. So pressure made there towards that right side.
But Martin is still holding this angle, and crucially enough, he picks up Yedege. That is immense. Back to square one.
Toxins going up.
And a rotation here from FUT trying to recalibrate. Group into mid.
Where do we go, though? There's still a tripwire. Difficult one to break there towards market. Plus, you've got the retake camera here for the B site. That's why you see Magnum falling off completely.
They've broken the trip and they started to cross. FUT have definitely figured out where they want to go to. And KC now have a choice to see how they are going to react. Waiting for the Thrasher, it's going to be a big piece of utility for this retake.
Retake cam also taken away, but Martin has Boba.
30
has the
seconds
cross,
left.
the TP.
Two players looking to bounce onto market. Martin from a different angle as well. Adacaptan in danger of being isolated here. The Thrasher being used, and it's in a position where it can be recollected. How is Adacaptan still alive? That Poison Cloud literally saved him, and now he can get out of there. That's incredible. And it's still 4 versus 4. And that's Martin trying to find his team back in as FUT try to close the gap up against them. He doesn't let that happen. Are we going to see a double blast pack shorty push?
You know it's Martin. It's got to happen.
And Cened, on the other hand, will look to cover with a Vandal to the back end. He's able to shut down Martin, but Martin keeps on giving. And Cened on the clutch against the 3, not quick enough for the first. Mosh pit at his feet, and it will be his demise. KC, yes, they do lose 1 round, but they bounce right back up.
That's also the satchel in there from Martin. It wasn't even into the shorty pick. I think it was just a quick scope into the operator. Still finds one in that situation, but there's so much confidence here. The retakes king on the side of Karma and Core, more than happy to give that space up and then just flood right back on towards site for FUT.
I just want to highlight something for a second. Mr. Fallen has been getting a few first picks, a few good lurks, and he's the leader of this guy, right? He's the guy that FUT brought in last year to lead a Turkish team, well, not last year, the year before, to kind of bring a Turkish team into the limelight, right? Somewhere where they could compete into an international stage. Have an IGL that can compete at that level. And he's definitely showing up, not only on the brain side of things, but on the server as well with kills.
Definitely is, but all for naught when you're not able to chain these rounds together again. Magnum's been so good at switching up his Cypher setups, just once they're broken and conditioned, he changes that location.
To be fair, to take this space used a lot of utility. Now there are a couple of snake bites to delay a push, but the Viper's Pit will be everything that they will put their hopes into and hide within to try and stop it all from unfolding in KC's favor. Martin tries to find a shot. It was a bit of a gamble. I think he just guessed where someone could have hidden within. But Magnum is approached. Neural theft enabled. They know where everybody's hiding. Dizzy into the Viper's Pit. Magnum shoots upon them. It's perfect from KC. And is Yedege the only one to remain? The Wonder Child on the clutch with 2 against him and a Sheriff, a dream that has to be crushed into pieces. KC keep on winning.
The momentum here on the side of KC, you can see FUT, the frustration starting to mount here. And the thing is, again, a lot of that success that they found in their matchup against Giant X, where the lurk plays, we haven't seen the same kind of value coming out from it. Yes, Mr. Fallen has had some of those opportunities, but those weren't the players that we were expecting to be watching. We were looking towards Yedege, looking towards Adacaptan to find that kind of value in their positioning as the Cypher, as the Viper. But the difference is, that is key to point out, I think Giant X were running Nukie on that stage. So they didn't have that flank watch potential, and that changes everything for the way that they were looking to play, the success that they found there too.
It really does. It kind of changes the scope of things here and to why FUT has been successful on this map before. But KC has got it all covered. 1 VOD review was all that they needed, at least on the defense, to have a solid start. Now, there are some pieces of utility here for FUT, and they have got some weapons. Yedege has nestled himself into this B site, and no one knows of it. Well, Magnum's got it covered, though, so scratch that.
I mean, he still keeps trying to find those timings, right? But KC, they play so far back, and then got all their bases covered. They
do indeed, and you can see Tomaja respecting this movement here. He still picks up the kill. They're looking warm. They're looking heated up. FUT, they've had a really strong streak of rounds on Bind, but it seems they're unable to find a footing at all on Sunset. Cened finds one before he drops, but cracks He needs to do crack things. And now is not the moment he can do so. Defuse underway, and a potential 8th round to be put into the pocket of KCORPS.
KCORPS are just a step ahead of FUT every single time at this point. The reads have been really strong, the way they're looking to position themselves, to allow, sure, FUT to take that space. That false sense of security that YetaJ has, pushing into these sites for free. But KCORPS, they're aware of it. They're expecting it. It's done with purpose. And even with, I know it's not thrown out this time around, but previously Magnum was throwing out the very deep trip over towards top mid on that left side. And then that gives just so much information as far as the deep, deep lurks that you tend to see FUT trying to move towards.
100%, but this is going to be a fast-paced round here. Seen it with the showstopper. It's an exchange of it! Oh, they're trying to fight within the air, but Martin is able to avoid everything, but Cena gets barraged by fire, a power of lead.
Martino was even tagged by the cam there.
And the push continues from FUT, though. They're not wanting to stop at all. Ada Captain pushing by, but it's Cracks to find the first shot. Nare trying to hold back the cavalry, and he's got Martin there to help out, but it's not for long as KC find themselves on a big disadvantage. Tomazio to himself. A 1v3.
He has Spike, though.
FUT, all they needed was to aggress, was to go fast, to go dirty, and Tomazio to do it alone. They know exactly where it is, and the Haunts will reveal him as well. Everybody peeks out simultaneously, and FUT get a second round on the board after what has been an eternity.
I love that adaptation. The default plays weren't working for them. They weren't finding the value from those flanks, as KCORPS, the difference being they didn't really over-rotate. They're always constantly anchoring every option, and even if they're not present there, they'll have deep trips to try and counter it as well. So just going for a higher octane play is definitely the move, but do you repeat that?
That's the question. It does look that FUT are looking for something similar towards this B site, but this time going for a contact approach.
They do have the Nightfall to work with, however, Trip switched up this time. Default setup here on the Cypher for Magnum.
And KC have got 3 on the defense. Nightfall potential. From the shadows, with the spike as well, interrupted. But in they push, and there's one ways that can stop them. You don't want to push this setup. And Shin doubles up. Mr. Fallen gets a pick, though. Where did that come from? Behind the smoke, perhaps? Still 4 versus 3, and KC have got the advantage.
They do, but Casey, they did read into it. They set up purposefully, expecting that still fast-paced play. Now the Thrash to come through.
It is interrupted. How much information does it get? Mr. Fallen playing it up close and personal, and Cena spotted now in main. Goes aggressive even further. Gets one big potential for the second. Only one stands, and it's Ada Captain. And he's got a snake bite lineup to try and stop it all from happening. Poison Cloud as well, not allowing anyone to touch the spike. They've got to get the pick here. Tomazi knows of it, trying to find an angle and trying to see how much damage he can expense to lose. Maybe to get the defuse at half-time. He's so low, and Ada Captain knows it. A spray comes across, but it's stuck with. It's maintained. KCORPS, they get the defuse, they get the win, and get themselves an even bigger lead.
What a way to stick that for KCORPS. Perfectly played the read there into the defensive hold, expecting, again, the fast, high gear play coming out from FUT off the back of the Nightfall. They adjust Magnum Cypher setup to counter it. The crossfire that is being held there on site as well. And then to top it all off, Narrate found so much space in B main. All he had to do, his entire job, was just delaying Ada Captain from pushing back in.
And he did it perfectly. Ada Captain had no bullets left, had to switch to the classic at the final moment. And it's all collapsing for FUT. It's these close moments, it's these close rounds that hurt you mentally. You've got to snap out of it. You've got to think next round. And there's only one round left in the half. And KC have thrown everything they've got in it, and so have FUT. But somehow FUT's buy looks a little bit better. Nightfall towards this B site. There's 2 ways that FUT are looking to enter, and KC are respecting it.
I mean, they dodged the trips for now. Magnum not able to capitalize off of that one. Maintaining this market control here for FUT will be Ada Captain once again.
How do they play this out, though? How many players are going to stick up close and personal? Because if they drop back, they kind of have to deal with the tripwire once again. Luck in the making. Dizzy over the top, and aggression off the back of it, but it's FUT to come out on top, and it's a 4 versus 3. Cena in the fight, but drops like a fly. And now, how did FUT deal with this? They've got 2 players, 2 different angles, and KC trying to cover it all. Spray onto the spike. Mr. Fallen is shown his ground, and so is Yedajay. And they might be saving the day unless Mackinnon can say anything about it. Yedajay will fall to the ground. A dug's grave beneath him. And KC end off the half with such a superb lead. Double digits already.
It was a great idea. I mean, at a captain, he maintains that market control, knows, okay, I'm just here to buy time realistically into this post plan. If everything goes awry, you've got Yedajay trying to wrap back around super late and unexpected there. But KC, despite losing initially on those numbers, on those initial engagements on towards site, when it gets scrappy, they truly do shine, flooding straight on in double digits. 10-2 half. How do FUT get back in this?
Protocols are online. It's all feeling good for the KC side, and FUT fall into a defense. Well, they have to chain it all together themselves. They got close. They got a second map, and it went their way, and things started to fall in FUT's favor. But KC have slapped them right back up, woken them up. But they've awoken to something they wouldn't like to be in. 10-2. KC looking to seize control over this B site, demand it actually. They take a lot of damage, but no one has dropped so far.
Little buddy getting the spike planted there as well. Nice little trip on the spike, but this fight towards market.
And there's only one player defending it from KC. And he does get a trade. It's exactly what they need. Martin, this is a sneaky angle, but I believe there are utility available to keep him in the corner. Paranoia in his direction. It's going to be checked. The snakebite as well. He's a dead man walking. Yedajay will seize the charge of this attack onto the spike already. Oh no, are they going to stick it? They're not able to find the shots within it. Oh, this could be troubling. Finally, a bullet finds the back of the head of Yedajay, but it's already diffused halfway, and it's a 2 versus 2. Toxic Screen not being able to see who is diffusing, and it's stuck with, which allows FUT to win another pistol and the Red Bull clutch.
A much-needed pistol round here, FUT into a clutch. Now, it's the time for them to be able to buy up into the anti-eco. Adjustments were made here, but again, pistol round. It's a little bit in the air. We'll have to see what ends up happening when those full weapons come out here for both sides, but a very nice start into the second half.
Clutch.
You know, some people do say that 10-2 is the new 9-3.
You said it, not me. We go to overtime, I know who to blame. We already had to deal with the 2018 today, Pavlos. We have another best of 3 to cast after this.
I don't mind at all, as long as it's great Valorant. And so far, we're treated to quite the series. Yedajay will be the defender of the site, but it's Cracks to find first shot. Now, KC need to untangle themselves of the situation, and it's Martin that takes charge of that approach. Explosive. Is it enough space to get the spike down? That Painful is definitely trying to buy it. Cracks reads Martin's reposition, and FUT remain alive with 3 to close out that round.
Nicely done there on the side of FUT. I think something that we also have to talk about heading into the third round of the second half is when you're looking at these 2 rosters, these 2 teams, even just the names themselves, Karma and Core, they're turning a new leaf, right? 2023, rough year for them. The season did not look great. They had a full refresh into this roster, and they look brand spanking new. And this is also a roster that we're going to look to develop later into the year. Meanwhile, FUT, they've retained a very solid core and added 2 great players on top of that. Expectations much higher on their end.
100%. It's a completely different story from last year, and KC so far being able to shut them down so soon in kickoff, not what many would have expected. I think many people had FUT in the top 3, top 4 of this league. So not being able to make it out of groups in kickoff isn't exactly what people had in mind for this team. Instead, it's a new roster that seems to take charge, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. There's 6 rounds of difference between the 2, and KC have got an attack which is heavily inhabited by a ton of defenders and a lot of utility to keep them at bay. Thrasher covering the back of this site. Do they know that Yedajay is here? I don't think they do.
No.
And there's also Cracks on the sideline that can start spraying as soon as the spike goes down. Tamaji, though, picks off Yedajay, crucially enough, vacating the B site. KC clear it out themselves.
Maintaining this backside control here is so important for KC.
But how do you deal this from now? On the back foot, FUT are tasked with the retake. Well, already a Prowler expended, and Magnum so close to the action. They know he's here, though. TP on the other side. It's a good obfuscation of movement, but somehow FUT have brought things within equilibrium. And Marlene has to deal with it by himself. That's 2 kills. Martin dead, and CNED here to clutch it. He's low. Paint shills towards Shin. Touches a spike, so Shin under pressure, but CNED doesn't feel it at all. Standing ovation for CNED as he puts FUT right back on board.
4K here for CNED, the duelist that we're looking to light up within this Red Bull clutch. The man of the hour, the one that we've been looking towards for some sort of star-studded performance, this previous champion all the way back from 2021. So much weight on his shoulders, the excitement to come out of a play like that.
And that starts to beg the question in the minds of the KC players. Yes, it's 10-5, right? There's still a long way to go. But that's when the questions begin to arise. That's when you start to think, can they do the comeback? Are we throwing? Is this Lotus all over again? Are we destined for overtime? They start to get worried. They start to get anxious. They can't let that get to them. And KC working off with a very limited weaponry here, going very aggressively into mid. Cracks with the first blood, though. We'll make sure that they're playing things off from Pole. Yedeje
Down B.
will also assist in that attempt. And CNED doing CNED things. Clearing up whoever he sees. And Magnum won't live at all. It's a flawless, and Andalusia flawless at that. That puts KC even closer, well, FUT even closer to KC score.
4 rounds. 4 rounds in a row. Starting off with the pistol after we swap sides here for FUT. Terrifying to look at CNED with that showstopper in hand as well. I feel like after that play 2 rounds ago, that's when you start to see him really heating up into a match, really starting to grind the gears of the enemy team.
Right there.
Martin, though, 1 away from the showstopper, so could equalize in ultimates in that kind of regard at the very least into this round. Look at this stack. FUT full 4, basically leaning over towards this B side. A great read from them. KCR leaning in this direction, still looking to pressure towards the mid at the very least. Break that door open.
Yeah, you've got to break out various variations here for KC. You've got to figure out where the weaknesses are.
And then also just put that pressure so FUT can't focus all of that energy towards that main choke.
And this time we're seeing a pivot towards this A site. Finally seeing some pressure in this direction. But there's only one player hiding out, it's Yedeje. And so far he's been on retake duty.
They are happy to play that retake. They have that showstopper to work with. Again, but it is going to be a question of, okay, Martin saving hopefully his showstopper into the post plant to try and delay that time that FUT would be looking to buy.
Showstop available for Martin as well, which is a scary prospect to look against, and they might be aggressing off of the back of it, but it's CNED the first one to use it. Oh no, it's Martin actually. He has to back out as he is clouded off, and the showstopper is no longer there for them, so CNED wants to use it right back at them. That's Cracks with the first shot. Demaji over-aggressors and eats it in the face. Martin is absolutely insane, and KC look to seize control right back up. At the back of the smoke, Neural Theft doing its job.
He's just sticking it at
Gets
Captain.
it on top. And the defuse is no longer happening at a Captain as 1 HP, though. He needs to find 2 clean kills, and it's so difficult to find them with so many angles being taken up by the KC players. Back on winning ways, stopping the streak of FUT. And this is turning out to be quite the final game of this series.
What a hold, what a crossfire into that post plant. The pick that Martin gets off of CNED, everything there. Just denying any value coming out from that showstopper, any space that they would have normally been able to find as far as players backing off, but sticking to his guns. A timeout now to be called by Carmine Core. This is not surprising to me. Sure, they cut the momentum on the side of FUT. It does give an opportunity to FUT to also have a conversation too. But for KC, it's all about talking about how do we close this out in the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, props to the scouting of Carmine Core. Finding out Martin, quite the pickup, right? Never really made it to Ascension, but was closely contesting with Desire in GMT over the Italian Challenger League. And was topping the charts apparently there, and now here on the VCT EMEA stage on the big one, definitely causing a lot of trouble for FUT. And this timeout only just solidifies that they need to keep things going in the right direction.
What do we have to work with here? I mean, taking a look, just over on the side of FUT, there is that Nightfall here for Cracks. And then you got Neural Theft for Magnum. So likely another retake protocol situation, most likely. Might even see FUT try to use it proactively and be a bit more aggressive just to full stop any push that KC do look for. Because I do wonder, do KC take this opportunity to shift the tempo into this next round after a timeout?
That's exactly what we'll be looking at for now. Early garage approach. Dark cover in mid, alluding to the idea that they are pushing up in that direction. Orb collected. Thrasher now in charge for Nare.
It's been really important on the side of Karma and Core to cycle that ultimate up. Drop Magnum, just poking and prodding over towards this B site, seeing what information he can find, if he can manage some sort of timing.
And it's a Thrasher to be used to clear out a lot of this market control.
Early.
Off of the back of a Haunt. To be thrown in the direction of B. Nightfall, actually. Magnum is in trouble. He's the only player here, but he's not being closed up against. Instead, it's KC to aggress, and Yedije out into the open to be punished. KC instantly are with a two-player advantage, and Magnum keeps on giving. Mr. Fallen and Zenit have so much to do here. They've gotten some information, but honestly, with the Viper Spit, there's nothing they can do. And they themselves have been telegraphed, and there's not many chances that they will get Thrasher heading for them, searching for them. Zenit avoids it. But what KC do is hold back for now, play the numbers game, hand in hand on this one. But this is where Mr. Fallen can come out on top. Magnum not covering this corner anymore. It could be deadly. 2 kills for Mr. Fallen, but he drops, and so does Zenit. So KC get themselves on map and series points.
Such a great look coming out from KC. FUT, they had the idea. You have that Nightfall coming through, just trying to buy time for the rotation from the rest of the team. Expecting, I think, a bit more presence, not just Magnum alone towards B main. Little did they know it was 4 players coming in from market with a full flood, unaffected by that Fade ultimate. You can see KC are so hyped. They know how close they are to making it to play-ins.
You can tell Zaysh is happy, but he's not as happy as we've seen him. He's like, there's a bit of concern in that, right? He knows that it's FUT they're playing up against, even though they've got quite the lead. Maintain your composure for now. You're not in play-ins yet.
Yep.
There.
You got Yedije on a sheriff.
You've got Yedije.
I feel like that's more dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it can be, can't it? Snake bite to their feet though. Martin aggresses forward. He doesn't care. Dizzy thrown out, vacating FUT, actually sticking by. They don't want to fight this, but it might be to their own demise. Yedije, he snicked past them. Can he do much here? Out of Captain finding one, dropping back, but it's Yedije that finds 2 with the Sheriff. That's incredible. Foresight. Martin on the case. Yes, they've got the spike down, so the pressure's on FUT to push, but Nare cannot do it off the back of Yedije's supremacy. FUT stay in contention.
Hey, I called it out. What can you say? You cannot deny just the individual talent coming out from Yedije. Close to even getting a 3rd there on Martin at that, whittling him down to 22 health. Still, match point for Karma Core, but they have had the momentum, though, into this second half. 5 rounds for them. And with how close these rounds have been, how tough this side of the map has been for Karma Core, their money situation looking dire, and they immediately use now their second timeout.
Yeah, last timeout expended here from Karma Core. It's thinking time. It's Eng and Zaysh time.
I mean, you don't want it any closer. Like, I respect them using the timeout here, to be honest. You want to get that done. You don't want to wait until FUT are like 10-12 and then use it at that point. Try to get ahead of it.
It's laying out the game plan and sub-plans if things don't work out. I don't know, maybe. But for now, it's catch-up. For now, they need to figure this all out. And at the same time, though, being your timeout doesn't stop the other team from speaking with their coach. And that's exactly what FUT is doing. It's not impossible, right? We've seen a shriek of rounds before. KC, all they need to do is to grab one more. One more. FUT, in that moment, would be out of kickoff. And Karma Corp with another chance to redeem themselves from the previous year and make sure that the blue jerseys can shine in VCT EMEA.
I mean, it's getting tense, it's getting tough. You do have a hero rifle coming in here for Martin. Eyes on him to try and make a difference into this round. One away from the showstopper makes sense to throw that over to his side. The best chance to even find something into a half buy. Door broken early here for Karma and Core. Again, drawing some of that attention for FUT over towards Market. Continuously running this more retake style setup here on that B side, or A side, sorry.
Little by little, they close out space. KC have used the buddy system over and over again. It's been their bread and butter this tournament. And FUT have got no one to defend this A site other than Yadajay, their protege, if you will. Paranoia against Yadajay. Snakebite as well. He's forced out. KC looking to move in, and they've been given the space. Not only that, but they've been given a kill. But with Yadajay's response, he's got an upgrade.
Planted.
Okay, now into the post plant. What do you have to do here? Showstopper out.
And that's exactly where Mr. Falling drops. So KC working upwards. FUT need to bring them back, but how can they? Magnum notified. CNED closes up the gap and quashes them. 2 kills to CNED, and he's looking to close them all. It's Yadajay alone looking to deal with 2 of KC players. Spike at his hands, and all he's got to do is stick it. Diffuse halfway, but wants to take it all the way to Marzi Peaks, and KC seal the deal. A gruesome series, a long one, but they maintain their composure and end off this match to continue their run in kickoff.
Our second team to find themselves within the play-in to compete for the final spot within the playoffs here of VCT EMEA kickoff. And an insane run. Martin